Welcome to selfdiscoverymedia.com, where the orchard of wisdom shows are at your fingertips. It ignites your soul, your heart, your spirit, your mind, and your body with illumination from people who have made the journey before you. They're here now to help you on your journey, on your path of self-discovery. We are funded by you, the audience, and the people we interview. If you wish to support us, please go to selfdiscoverymedia.com and press on our Fund Action button. Anything is appreciated. We'd like you to sit back and enjoy the shows. Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of For the Love of Music right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and I have two wonderful guests for you today. They are Banjii and Mayuri. Have I said it right or have I said it wrong?
You got it.
Okay, great, wonderful. They hail from Georgia, but they go around all everywhere playing their beautiful music. And it's called The Uncommon, well, they got a releasement of an uncommon love story, compliant of original songs, each track telling a unique story about linking cohesively with each other. Every song is accompanied by music videos shot in different scenic locations across the United States while driving deeper into the minds, spirits, and lives of both of them. The seven-part video series, Uncommon Love Story, loosely follows the Eastern concept of the seven chakras, which are the centers of our spinal power in the human body. The first song, which premiered in September, Copper Lines, focuses on the first and root chakra, representing survival and grounding, while the second song, Ancient Lover, released in November, focuses on the second and sacral chakra, expressing sensuality. Banjii and Mayuri follow the flow of the day-to-day lives while they're choosing the filming locations for their videos, and each video tells a powerful story. Filmed in the site of their wedding in Arizona, the first video, Copper Lines, highlights their marriage ceremony, which was planned in 48 hours with the help of somebody in Sedona, and flew initially in Sedona to celebrate the harvest moon. The song's impetus, timing, and synchronicity seemed fitting to celebrate and shoot the location that was an inspiration for the music. And there's Ancient Lover. I've listened to this song. It's really, really beautiful. The song featured on the album explores their love story, the story of neighbors who met, eventually fell in love during the pandemic. The video features California spots to explore during their honeymoon. Well, you know, when people come together in synergy, in that really good vibration, it means their frequencies have connected. They're both on a really good vibe, on a good wavelength, and that actually precedes them. The vibe meets vibe, and then you actually open your eyes and discover each other. And I always love a good love story, and especially when it can be expressed artistically, because it becomes kind of an anthem or a love story that represents other people as well. And we all want a representation of how we feel, what love really is. But I'm so glad that you're not talking to love just on a surface. We fell in love and we lived happily ever after. You're talking about the rooting, really tuning into the sacra, really understanding the good vibrations of the earth, but the divine presence of the universe, and how really to bring it out in your love story. So I'm so eager to know more. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having us. Really
Thank
excited.
And as I said, I've listened to the one song, and you're very, there's some people who are very serious about their music, you know, but you start off with you moving and kind of just swinging to the music, and it's so carefree. And it's so light and just like you're having fun. You're enjoying what you're doing. You're loving the message. And it's just, there's a lot of songs, you know, like Adele, you know, she's the epitome of the breakup song and going really, really deep, you know. And as they said, what will she write now that she's happy? You know, it's going to be an interesting album.
Yeah.
But you guys come across as happy, which is nice and carefree and light, and especially in the era that we're in right now. A, we need the love stories. B, we need to connect to our chakras, but it's also nice just to have it light and airy. Was that deliberate?
Yeah, I like to say, what's the good news?
Yes, yes.
What's the good news
Yeah,
today?
why don't people ask that more often? Yeah. Yeah. Is that a deliberate thing, just to keep it light and airy?
Actually,
I think
our
it's
third
pretty
song,
heavy stuff, but we try to present it light. That's the little
that's
guitar
it. So
days.
the way that it's what he said, and our third song is a little heavier actually than this one, because it's the third chakra is emotionality.
Mhm.
So it requires you to go even deeper and deal with some of the heavy stuff. But in spite of that, like the videos and the way we're delivering it is still light. So you're totally on point with the delivery, and it's what he said. It's intentional because we're trying to talk about heavy and deep things with a light platform. Like and that's how we're getting people to maybe listen to things that they wouldn't otherwise.
Like for example, the third song she's talking about, it's called Gaslighted. and it stars our children, and it features our youngest Edwin and his toy llama. But it's called Gaslighted, and it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition.
Art, mimics life, right? And I think we all have heavy times. We all go through difficult times. I mean, that is the nature of life, but it's what we make of it. All right. And as you said, one of your songs is about emotions. And all of our emotions are here for I'm mad because something's made me upset. Can I do anything about it? Or do I just need to let it go? I'm happy. How do I capture this happiness? How do I share it with other people? But we're inclined to become emotional about our emotions instead of just being in the emotion. So doing a song about the emotions, but it's also about connecting, isn't it? Connect, but release.
And its connection is the heart chakra, so it's the fourth chakra. And the song, so the project that it's ongoing right now, we haven't released it yet, that specifically focuses, as you said, on connection. And it's also exactly what you said. Connection requires you to have dealt with your emotions. It requires you, and so I think that's why we chose the chakras to begin with, to tell the story, because you're not really going to connect deeply with somebody if you don't don't know their story. So that's Ancient Lover is more so just telling people, hey, this is who we are. So now that people know who we are, it already forms like, okay, we know what sort of their backstory is. And then we talk about things, the heavier stuff like emotions and what we believe. And the first one, Copper Lines, is about intention. So like we're grounding ourselves and saying, this is why we're doing. So this is why we're doing something. That's the first song. And then the second one is, this is who we are. And then the third one is all about the emotions. And then the fourth one is connection.
Which we need every single one of it. Banjii, were you into this philosophy before you met? Is that something that tied you in together, or is it something that's been ignited in you?
Well, it's interesting. The first time we met, Mayuri came to buy a painting from me, like the one behind us,
which is beautiful. Bet you can't see it, folks, but you can go to the video.
and so that's Sergei Turep, a Russian artist who I love his work. Anyway, the first time we met, I was going over to measure for the painting, and she, like, first, like, out of the gate, she's like, so what's your purpose? And I was like, this is interesting. I thought I was just measuring a wall.
Yes, it beats what's your astrology sign.
Yeah, well, we already knew that. I guess it wasn't the first thing. She already found out my birthday. And then my answer, what was my answer?
To raise vibrations with music and art.
Yeah.
So he said it's to raise vibrations through music and art. And that's interesting because that was the same purpose that I had even before we met. And I was like, okay, we are united in purpose. And that's the other thing we believe, or I specifically also have believed, is that you meet people for a reason.
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, I've met him for this purpose, which is to forward this combined purpose that we have. So that was already
So the quick answer is yes. But I'm trying to answer your question. You're basically asking, is this Mayuri's, is she the captain or am I the captain?
About the chakras part. And I think so it's like, I think what we're doing is basically taking concepts and merging them. So while both of us are like literally two ends of the globe, the way he's expressing it is through music and through his guitar tones, which are already, I felt like, aligned to the chakras, but he's doing it more like viscerally. Like, you know, and I'm doing it more like, because I've studied all this for many years, and so I was already thinking of like writing stuff and writing a book, and all that was happening before I met him. So I come from more like the like, he's more like the feeling, and I'm the one that comes up with like, okay, these are the words we put around.
You're more
it.
the scholar. Yeah.
Yeah, the scholar. Yeah. And so I think that's how we bring the theory, and he's the practice, basically. That's the way you should say it. Like,
well, I mean, I would say that
we both write
the
music and the lyrics. And but interestingly, when we first came up with this project, it was going to be between 10 and 12 songs. And when we were writing the songs at 7, Mayuri was like, they actually all aligned to the chakras as it was in order.
On its own.
Right.
And so then we were like, we're going to do a 7-part music video series instead of doing a full traditional album.
Right.
So good on you for catching that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for a start, as I said, the two vibes met, right? Then you align that you have the same commonalities as far as purpose is concerned. And then it was the marrying of the purpose of what each one of you had contribution to give.
Well, how are we contributing?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And, you know, relationships aren't about completing each other, about complementing each other, right? Because each one of you're your own beacon of light. But how do you form the shade so one light can reflect in this way and the other light can reflect in that way? And that's where that complementary comes in. And, you know, when you're both on the same vibe, both looking at the same outcome of what you want to achieve, but you allow the creativity and you allow that beautiful divine energy to lead you, it's almost like when I interview authors, it's the role or the character takes on a whole role of itself, and they look back and it's like suddenly their characters are doing this and doing that, and they hadn't intended that, but the character is taken over because the creativity, almost the divine creativity, is taken over. Have you found that in your work, like as it is with the chakras, right? It became the chakras before you even knew it became the chakras.
Exactly. That's exactly what he was saying, is that it was already there.
Mm-hmm.
It was already there through the divine connection and the spirit. And I think that's what I was saying, is like, my role is to be like, he was already doing this music, and I was so impressed and inspired. And I'm like, okay, because my background in business and strategy, I'm like, I can take this that's already divinely inspired and put maybe like the packaging and the wording around it for it to reach a broader audience. And I think that's exactly how it goes with our projects. Yeah.
Do you like working together? Do you play off each other? You know, does the creativity kind of get going and you inspire each other?
That's a painful process.
Pulling teeth.
It's a lot of fighting. And
no, it's not.
No. She said we could have fun.
Play fighting, right? Play fighting.
No,
yes.
I think that I would say that the speed at which we're doing this, it really is, it speaks for itself. Like, we met in June 2020. It was a pandemic. We started writing songs maybe by like September, which the first song we wrote together was Copper Lines, and which we released, and then which we released only last year. But then, and then from the time we started doing this to right now has not even been a year, you know, like seriously doing this. So the fact that we're moving this quickly, I do feel like it's because we're already as you said, like already on the same vibration, already aligned. And so I actually think the work itself comes easy. It's everything else that, it's almost like spiritual therapy. Like we have to go through, because we don't want to be saying things that are not real. So if we're saying that this is what we believe in, then we really need to be believing that. Or like if you're talking about ancient lovers, then we really do believe that we're ancient lovers, right? So, or like we're talking about emotions and letting the emotions, as you said, it literally is about letting it go. But then we want to actually have let it go ourselves before we go singing about it. And that's the hard part he's talking about, is that
the last song, Gaslighted, that was a hard one.
yeah, the song Gaslighted was a hard one, because we didn't, that is a goal of ours, is we don't want to put on this project, or in general, we don't want to put stuff out there that's not 100% something that we truly have experienced or believe in at our core. So it gets us to question that and then work through all that as a couple. And then once it's beautiful, because once we get onto the other side, the song just comes. So I don't know if the fighting is so much the actual song, but the process.
It's the process, right? As you said, therapeutic process. You're two strong people in your own right. You've obviously clearly got your own visions and perspectives, and you're going to speak from that perspective. And the other person is going to say, but my perspective is. But when you lay out those perspectives and willing to turn it around and look at it from all different angles, then you see the bigger picture and you go deeper, and things then kind of reveal themselves in a different way. And then that clarity comes forward. And when with the clarity, then can come the creativity.
Sarah, I feel like we owe you money for a therapy session.
The spiritual counseling comes out.
Did she trick me into couples counseling? She's like, there's a podcast.
I've done couples counseling, yes. It's showing, does it? But I mean, you look at any kind of people who are creating together, there is a passion, right? Each one of you sees something and the other person sees it, may not quite see it your way, maybe see it another way, but it's that willingness not only to see, but how can you merge the images for it to create something else, right? And it's like, when people hold on to their vision, it's mine's better than yours, and they're not willing to go, okay, let's see how they meld. What does the picture look like when we meld it together and allow that to happen and leave ego aside? That's truly when the true picture of what is meant to happen comes through, right? But,
the sum of the parts.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, yes, when there is a passion about it, the passions are going to get passionate. Right. So it's not necessarily fighting as just, stepping into one's passion, as long as the ego doesn't take over.
I wasn't yelling. I was just passionate.
No, I think that you don't yell. He doesn't yell. He actually.
I was talking about her. She doesn't yell either. I'm making jokes sometimes.
But no, I think what you said about like the intention, the reason why it works, and it really does. None of our products are things where we are like, oh, this could have been like different. Like we truly, really appreciate the stuff we're putting out there because of the intention that we have, and it's what we said. The intention is that we want to do what's right, and we want to express ourselves, and then whatever the processes, we let that happen. I think that's what makes the difference. Like neither of us are doing this project with an intention that is self-focused. It has like the starting point is what you said.
It's a compass. The intention is the compass, right? Which is
so it's always heading there, exactly. So no matter, even if we have like this, like we're meandering, the end product is always in that direction because we believe in that intention
exactly
all the way.
Which this project, it has a big element of improv.
Beautiful.
Because we're going with the flow. So like we're constantly talking about ideas for all these things, and it's when it all of a sudden it's like, okay, now we have it, and then we do it. So it's kind of tricky to work with people. We found a really good team to work with where they're okay with that, where it's like, hey, can you fly out next week and video us?
Yeah. Yes.
Because we don't know until it's time.
I know it, but that's the creativity of an artist, right? It is you have an intention of what you would like the message to be. But you, as with anything, and you know, you've been in business and marketing, the ideas are going to go crazy right out there, become completely bizarre, off kilter. But it's almost like taking it and now bringing it down to what really can happen, all right? What really the vision is. But you need to expand out because you need
a lot of times
to bring
she'll
it back
have
to
an
what needs to be.
idea. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Well, a lot of times she'll have an idea, and I'm like, horrible idea. No way it can happen. And then like a week later, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
true.
don't know until, I mean, you know, it's you never say never, right? You know, it's just how. Okay, you know, how can we maybe do a version of it? Maybe we can't do it exactly like that, but how can we do a version like that? Because the concept is good, but it's the practicality of it. How do we make it happen?
Is she our marriage counselor?
That's wonderful. No, you're on
you're
point.
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're on point. Yeah.
But that's all of the artists. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the Beatles documentary on Apple. I haven't seen it yet. I've got to watch it. But everybody that's watched it, they're absolutely in awe because the Beatles, although they were totally different characters, when they came together musically, they were so vibrationally in tuned that they just vibrationally tapped in and plugged into each other, and each one of them knew how to complement the words, the music, how to play it, how to bring it together. And when you get into that synergy and into that flow and you're truly tapped into one another, that's really when, you know, right now you're still in discovery because you're still almost in a young relationship, not only as a marriage, but also as musicians, right? You're still in that discovery. The more and more time goes by, the more and more that succinctness will be there. And that just the attunement of what will be there, and then the wonderment of where you can go, it will be much easier.
Yeah, which is true. It is easier now.
And it does take time. Do you know the term entrainment?
Being in training, or in what way?
It's entrainment. So it's like synergy, but it's a term that I learned in music, where it's like just the tendency of things in nature to align.
Yeah.
And so they proved it with science by putting a bunch of grandfather clocks in a room, and they're all clicking slightly off. You leave it there long enough, they will all be completely in sync. Right.
And that's what the word is, entrainment. Oh, I like that. I'm going to be using
entrainment.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I call it succinctness, but entrainment sounds more interesting.
That's beautiful. I like that.
Yeah,
that's beautiful, and I think that makes sense. It's like you kind of, if you set the intention, then you figure out a way for the pendulums to swing together, and I think the first, this is probably just a hope or an intention, that the first year that we were doing this was the hardest one because of that process. But I feel like by the time we did this third song, which was the goal, like, you know, because the third song is emotion, so letting go of the stuff.
You went for the heavy stuff first.
Heavy stuff, yeah. We went straight, like we just went straight for the heavy stuff. And I think, and I do feel like we reached a milestone with that song itself. And so now the next song, like, is connection. It's lighter, and I feel like it represents, the next few songs should represent what you just said, is that like, it's not, we're already now at that next level where things will just flow without having to do so much of the upfront, like figuring out how to get on the same page.
Right. Yeah, I'm always saying that we're here to discover our own particular instrument in life, learn how to play it, then find that orchestra to join and create music in harmony, right? And so, you know, it's when you know your own instrument, but you know how that instrument can be played, and then you know how to play it with others, and you're bringing the best out of each other, and you're both on that discovery of where it can take you. I think that is so exciting. You know, you talked about just kind of almost jamming. You know, when you get musicians at the end of a shift, just, I remember this experience in Rome, going to this place, and the person I was with said, just sit, be patient. One musician would come in, just go to the center thing where all these, beautiful instruments were, pick it up and start playing. Another musician would come and pick up his drink, start playing. They're all from different areas. They've all been playing all night, kind of following the music for their gig. Now they just got there. They may know each other, they may not know each other. They're just playing off each other's vibe. And like by the end of it, there's about 7 or 8 of them from everywhere, all different types of music, but jamming together in a way that was transcending, because
it's my favorite thing.
Oh, it's so beautiful, so beautiful. But
I have all these friends from different countries, and we get together and we don't play anybody's songs,
right,
but we can play together, and it's so interesting playing with my friend from Tunisia or Colombia or India. It's music is a universal language, and it is all vibration.
Yeah.
So as long as your heart is open, and like you say, you know how to play your instrument, whatever whether it's musical instrument or
whatever your instrument is, and like, because we're all given one, and but it's learn how to play it way, but be flexible, right?
Yeah, but be flexible. Yeah. Be able to bend.
Yes. I mean, the violin, the harp and everything else, they have strings that make exquisite music, but it's all a question of where you touch them, how much you pull them back, what other string you play with it. I mean, that's the thing. It's incredible amount of sounds that can come out of it because it's flexible, right?
Yeah.
So if you're on an intent and you've kind of written a song and this is what you want to get to mean, but you are more the free spirit, prefer to go with the flow. Do you find that hard, like, to kind of stay within the compass and kind of stay in track of the message, or do you get caught up in the flow as well?
We also, and this is personally me, I believe in Jesus, and I think that we are being guided by like a divine force, whether, you can call it the universe, the Holy Spirit, Jesus, everybody or your own consciousness, collective conscious, people use different words. But I do think that like it keeps us on track. And that's what, I think we both believe in it. We use different words. The way I would describe it is that even if I'm going with the flow or we're going with the flow, it doesn't worry me, where it's like, are we going to meet the deadline? Is it going to be a good work product? Because I know that there's guardrails, and those guardrails, I call it Jesus. It has different words to describe it, and those guardrails will always bring us back towards our intention. So I feel very comfortable just giving into the flow, because I know that I'm not going to fall off the cliff just because I went with the flow. I will be pulled right back if I've ventured too far off path. And that's how we've been doing this too, is like we just go with the flow, and even if it may not be the best decision in the moment, there's a correcting action like right after that does bring us, it always keeps bringing us back to where we're heading. And so the end product is always good, and we're learning more, and we're getting, you're right, like that's when he was saying that, when he was talking about the conflict, that was the main conflict, is that like we were learning to adopt this, go with the flow without letting it stress us out.
I mean, it's kind of like whitewater rafting, level 5.
But with a guide, that's like
there's a guide, but we're sharing a raft.
Right.
We're sharing a raft, and we're just going with the flow. But if we're really going to fall off, then there's like this force that's like, nope, no, we're not going to do that today, and that's how we keep moving forward.
Right. It was interesting. I've just watched some of the Olympics, and there was in the speed racing, and it was team racing, the women's, and there was one team that was so in sync, just rather like your, grandfather clocks. Every move was in synergy, just a rhythm. You could see it, and they could gather the speed, and they could keep with the momentum because they were in that rhythm. It was very musical.
It's magic.
Magic, exactly. The other team hadn't succinct with themselves. They hadn't interconnected or what was that word?
Entrainment.
Entrainment. They had entrainment, and you can see that they were out of sync the way we were skating, and so consequently they lost. And the people that were in flow with each other won because they became one instrument. And we, in Canada, we've just won the gold hockey, and I think they've been under a bubble now, just them for so many months, that not only do they get to play well, but they also get to connect well and become in flow with each other. And it always shows, doesn't it? Because as one's passing to the other one's already there with the anticipation, in the connection and all of that. And it's like that flow in everything we do is the alignment of our chakras, is the constant flow of our chakras, giving that energy through everything that we do. And that connection is so utterly important to the whole of us, whether it's the whole of our body or the whole of us as a community, to be in sync with one. And it's wonderful when you find people that you're in the same rhythm with, right?
Yep, exactly. And then going with the flow is not that hard because you're coming from the same place and you're sort of protected.
So a small known fact, Muhammad Ali sang with Sam Cooke. This song, it's really fast. It only has a couple lyrics, but it's like, hey, 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 the gang's all here. Join in the fun. Hey, hey, the gang's all here. We're gonna swing as one. Sing it again now. And it's the whole song.
Right.
But Muhammad Ali was like the king of what he did because he went with the flow. We're gonna swing as one.
Yes. Yes. And really, I think that's the invitation to humanity right now. As I said, be your instrument. Exactly. Your instrument as an individual instrument is extremely important. But we want you to play in the orchestra of life, in flow, in harmony. Right? Because we are so static right now. It's almost, the needle going across the record, if anybody's old enough to remember that, and it's just causing the scratch and the nails on the chalkboard. We need to get back into flow, and we can't do that if our chakras are out. We can't do that if we're static. So I think the importance of flow right now as a human race is really important.
It's beautiful. That's exactly what we believe in, which is probably why we're flowing together right now. It shows in this conversation.
But that's why obviously you had intended to do X, Y, and Z, and you ended up with chakra songs. Right, which was because that's what the universe needs. That's what this world needs right now. I have somebody I interviewed who's a what should we say, a clairvoyant gourmet. She actually
clairvoyant what?
Gourmet, right? So
like a chef.
Yeah. Yes. So she does like chakra cooking for your chakras. And she said if you're craving a certain color, that chakra is needing to be fed. Right, so you're singing for the chakras. You're performing
for
the chakras.
I had this thing where I went around to 2 years. I did this probably pretty uncomfortably for people, but I would run into people on the street and I would be like, "Hey, can I sing you a song?" And they most oftentimes would say yes. And like, "What song do you want me to sing?" And I'm like, "Just talk to me for a second."
Mm-hmm.
And I would just wait till the song came to me that they needed to hear.
Yes.
And almost 100% of the time they were like, "How did you know I needed to hear that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It came."
That's what we call the knowingness, love. It's the knowingness. It comes through your divine soul. It resonates with the heart. It ignites the spirit, and the mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. You were in tuned, so you allowed the channeling of that beautiful divine wisdom to come through you.
Well, I stopped doing that.
No.
It took a lot out of me.
The idea is to take all that and, because it's very similar for me, and now do it with a broader audience.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do. But the principles are exactly what you said.
Yes. Yeah, because you were doing one-on-one messages with your sons, what they needed to hear. Now you're doing it through your collective music, right?
Exactly.
And it's a broader message for a bigger audience. And again, that alignment, people don't realize how important it is for your chakras to be aligned. And you know it, you can see it when people are out of alignment because they literally slump. You know, when the chakras are aligned, you can see the whole body completely opening up and everything is in flow, right? Everything is in alignment there.
I'm slumping right now because of the camera.
You need to sing some of your own songs.
My camera stand is messed up.
Me too. I'm always, when you're in this chair for 7 hours a day, you slump. But
you can feel it though. You're right. Like, and I think that's why one of the lines in our first song is, it's not about what I know, it's about how you've made me feel.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of like, people, everybody at this point of time, we have access to education, internet. Not everybody, and not everybody has access to those two things, but many people in the world do. And yet, like, it's all just knowing and not so much about the feeling. In theory, everybody knows we should work together, we should swing together. Everybody knows all this, but it's more so like the feeling of it, like, and that's what was so you are really receiving what we're trying to say, and that is very encouraging for both of us, because that is what we're trying to say with our music, is that we just want you to feel it. We don't want you to, you already know all this, people. We're not,
you're not dictating, you're igniting.
Exactly, because people already know. We are just like giving them like a reference point to be like, see, what you know, we're already experiencing it, or we're
just talking about it.
Yes, it's kind of igniting. You know, I always have a word for every year, and this year it is ignition. Put yourself in gear.
Really, that's amazing.
and the thing about the igniting, as you said, people in their database know, but when they have a disconnect from their wisdom, their soul knowledge, their heart knowledge, they don't know what they know and how to activate it and get it into gear, right? So it's all very well having knowledge, but if you don't know how to use it, all it is a database, right? And so when you ignite it and the music ignites it and it starts switching the chakras on, and it starts, that wisdom now has an ability to flow through you, and then it becomes it's
visceral, like it's like a feeling, it's a visceral feeling.
It has to be felt
in your mind. And I think that's what he brought to me in my life, is because I've studied this for years, and you know, I've always focused on things like, you know, theory, but for him, like, and that's what I was trying to go with even in the beginning of this conversation, is that like he's really feeling it. Like, you know, and it's not necessarily talking too much about it. You were living
in the theory, he was living in the practicum, and so he ignited you to live in the practicum, and you brought a little more theory to him.
Exactly. That's exactly how I would. Yeah. So like, so like when he started like actually just doing the music, and he's not talking much about it. He's just playing the music.
He's being it.
He's being, and I'm like, this is what I've been saying, but this is in practicality, and I think that's how we were able to merge the two, so that, you know, what he's already doing on an individual level, we can now make it available to a much broader audience through the merging of the two sides of
the expression. You know? So you're a very expressive person, Banjii. For you, it is all about expressing how you feel, even in the now. Where you, with your study and your scholaring, is wanting to get a more defined message across. Right, so it's the merging of that, the deeper the message, you know, in the moment of coming from a place of love, right, and putting that deeper message into that love capsule, and then playing it out into a vibration that ignites it in others.
And it's so beautiful. And you say love capsule, and that's also strategic. Like, love, what's the whole point? The whole point of all of this is love, right? And so that's the other thing, is like a lot of the theory that's out there, it just talks about like the facts of like how all this exists, but what's the point? Like, what is the point if it's not going to lead you to the ultimate goal of love? And that's why it's in the love capsule, because it's real. So, and that's what we're saying, like, we want it to be 100% authentic, so we have to actually feel it.
You are being the love of your conviction, right? And you know
And I
that
won't do it unless it's authentic
I
as a policy.
I amen to that. You know, there's too many people out there that do it because they can, or they do it because it's popular, or do it because of ego, or do it because there's a demand for it, but they haven't connected. And you can always tell the performers, no matter whether it's a writer, a singer, dancer, whatever, you can always tell the people who are connected. You can't perform like that unless your heart is connected. And when your heart is connected, your soul has permission just to flow right through you and empower that love just to vibrate on such a high level that it becomes so not only inspirational and invitational, but starts essencing and wakening up in everyone else. That's why music is so powerful.
It is invitational. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think definitely that's the next level and what he brought. And I think that like love at the end of the day is that is the message. It is like all these chakras and all of that. It is to get to the end point of love. Like that is the end goal. And these are just like steps and processes to get there, which is why our goal at the end of the 7 songs is for people to really be on the same vibration as us if they followed us all the way. So now we're all on the same love vibration. So it's taking our love and then sharing it with anybody,
and resonating it out. Yeah, becoming that heartbeat. Yes. And love, the scientists have finally measured. You know, they finally, because through quantum physics, you know, I have a show called Quantum Spirituality, they actually now can measure people who are living on a love vibration. And they realize that they're living on a minimum of 585 hertz. And the love vibration can go up higher and higher. You cannot knowingly do any harm to anyone else when you're in that love vibration, because to harm someone else is to harm you. And if we can get people up to that higher level of that love vibration, we are going to be so much more respectful, considerate, compassionate, caring, appreciative of each other. That imagine the creativity that can come out of us collectively when we're in that vibration.
And I think that was the point of like, because you know, I'd be on these projects at work, and my other job is in mergers and acquisitions. So so it really is all the way like, you know,
it's what we call chalk and cheese, totally absolutely different.
Exactly. And so because I do mergers and acquisitions, and that's like all my background, and I'm an engineer and all that, I think that's the part between us, you know, is that I've been on these projects and I've thought, what, you know, why can't people just get along? Or, you know, we talk about capitalism, we talk about all these things, and then everyone wants to make a change, except you are not going to be able to affect any of these things if you're not on the same vibration first.
Right.
Then
then
you can do all those things. That's why I'm like, people, everybody's so well-meaning. Most people are well-meaning and are trying really hard to make change, except I'm like, you know, you're not being heard because you are not on the same vibration as everybody else. You want to be heard, you want to create, you want to come together, you want to change the world first. You need to get on the same vibration, and everybody, there needs to be a trust. Once that trust is there, everything else will just come, because everyone has an instrument, everyone has a purpose, and we will rebuild a better world. And I think that's what we're trying to do, because at the end of our 7 songs, what we actually are doing is we are launching through this project Kahani Records, which is a record label. The record label is to give other artists an opportunity. So once we have formed this platform, we want to use that. We've already started doing it to have all, so we can then give platforms and voices to so many people that would not have a voice otherwise. But to get to that point, like to launch this record label, which we have, and to do this on a large scale, first we want people to be on the same vibration. And I think so at the end of the 7 songs, then we can broaden with the community that we have formed.
Yeah,
And
so we signed ourselves with the first artist, Banjii and Mayuri, to Kahani Records in 2021.
Great, good. But you know, I'm all about community. Everything I do is community. And it is about, as you say, finding people who are in the same wavelength, you know, in the same vibe. Now their vibration could be, you know, at different levels, but at least on a vibration of where there is that cohesive communication and collaboration, which I'm huge on. And when you've got an umbrella of people where people, when they come to it and they know the artists are all going to be of a certain frequency, they're all going to be of a certain vibe, each with their instruments and their voices and everything may be radically different. But the thing is, you're going to get the vibe, you're going to get the truth, you're going to get the heart connection, you're going to get the soul connection, you're going to hear the story in it. That's what people are hungry for right now. There's too much static out there and they can't hear the singular voice amongst all the loud voices. And the people that are unwilling to change are the ones that are protesting the loudest. And so a lot of
causing the static.
Yeah, they are.
You know, Kahani, or the record label, Kahani is a Hindi word for story.
And that's what music and art and everything is, a storytelling. There's the picture behind you, it's a story. Right? And you may sing the words of your story, but it's going to be a reflection of our story. That's why we would connect. You're like, oh, you're singing my song, right? Or you're singing where I'm at right now. We want to know there's a connection there, that I feel that way, or I could feel that way. And that's the importance, because that's when we connect to that, that means that vibration has connected. That means that matrix has already been built. Those fiber optics are already being built in your followers. And when you bring in other artists, that beautiful fiber optics is going to be built of that lovely synergy that will just manifest on its own, which is wonderful.
On its own, exactly. And I think so. This has been an encouraging conversation for many reasons, because
send us your Venmo at the end.
Because really everything you're saying is literally exactly what we were hoping that we are coming across as. And it feels like you're picking it up, and that's exactly what we mean by not everybody wants, not the whole world doesn't have to be on the same vibration. The point is you choose your community, and this is our way. Like now we are a community, right? Like the three of us and your community can experience us, and we can experience your community, and now we become one. I think that is exactly what we're trying to do, is that like we're saying this is who we are, and then hopefully that allows us to kind of keep growing that team, and you guys are a part of that, of people that want the same thing, and like you bring your own unique instrument to this team, which we're very grateful for.
But this is my job, is to create a community of like-vibed people who are out there in service of humanity's growth, right? And each one of you are doing it for your own instrument, through your own beautiful gift. And many people have received the cosmic 2x4 along the line and completely flattened, and all that was to do is to redirect them to what they're here to really do. And they had to regrow and go through the process of their own self-discovery to discover what their beautiful instrument is and how it's going to serve everyone else. My music shows that I do, because I have 18 genres under my network, my music shows are always a guilty pleasure, because I'm a closeted musician. I've never played an instrument, but my instrument is vibration, is frequency, is the rhythm of life. And when I find it in the music, oh yes, for me, I want to share it, because look upon us as there's trillions of cells in our body. And every single one of those cells has an important job. It is to play plump and juicy and fruitful, so it can support the other cells around it. They start breaking down the cells around it. As a community, as a global community, we have a lot of cell destruction going on. And we need to, each one of us, step up into our own responsibility and owners of our own cell and make it plump and juicy so it can serve others. And that means raising that frequency. 4.5 years ago, I got the message from the universe that the universe is going to shake us up, to wake us up, for us to step up, change it up, and grow up vibrationally, and just grow up as a humanity. I think we're in the stepping up stage. People are wanting to change it up, and they need more and more encouragement from people like you who can ignite the chakras, who can turn their spirit on, who can make them feel a part of something. They don't need to understand it to be a part of it. The comprehension comes as they're a part of it, as they waken up. You don't need the manual to get there. Just allow yourself to get there, and then the clarification will come from there, right? So the work that you're doing just with your first project of igniting the chakras already is waking people up. Oh, I like this, or I connect with this, or I'm just feeling uplifted. That's your vibration. Now you're
Or
creating.
And sometimes it can also be like,
that's okay too.
Yeah, because they're not ready, or they're listening to
some of my
heavy rock.
Some of my favorite art and music, I had like a visceral reaction, like, oh, I don't like this at all. But it was stirring something up inside.
Right, yes,
You
which
know?
is something that
and
needs
that's
to be
okay
released.
too.
Yes, that needs to be
Yeah.
released. Yeah.
And I think that's like, and I think the whole point of clearing the chakras, it's not an easy process. Like the
Yes.
the reason why it is something that people are seeking is because it's a difficult process, because
Yes.
it requires you to feel all the uncomfortable feelings.
Right.
So there's no doubt that our process, there are some intentionally,
Yeah.
there are moments where like it causes the tension or the discomfort, with the goal of like getting you to think about something, or not even think, as you said, feel something, and then get past it. And then once
Yes.
you get past that feeling, you actually release it, and you don't even realize that you did that. Like you heard
Right.
the song, you felt uncomfortable, then you heard it like 2 weeks later, and then you're like, oh, okay, I actually really like it now.
Yeah.
What they have not probably realized is that they've actually gone through like a process subconsciously to release whatever it was that was holding them back. And that's how the chakras clear to begin with. And so we don't expect like it to always be like we love it, but any reaction is actually moving people
If it
forward.
stirs, the emotion,
feel,
right? Yeah.
If they feel something, whether it's negative or positive, it was productive.
Yes. But the thing is, in order to put something purer or more vibrational into your body that's going to serve you, you have to release some things. And there's a great deal of old programming that's still instilled with this. And very often it's not just this lifetime, it's ancestral lifetime, it could be past lifetimes you're carrying on. And if something comes up, you can't identify with it, but you know that it's affecting you. Well, now, okay, look at it. Does it serve me? I see you, thank you, delete. Right? Delete. You're out. I need room for something that is more positive, that serves me, because the more it serves me, the more I can serve others. And so don't be afraid of what comes up. That doesn't mean it's out to get you. It's there for you to look at, stand up, face it, and go, thank you. You've served your purpose. Goodbye. We have to have the courage to do that. So don't be afraid of what it releases, because that's the whole point. It needs to be released. Yes. A lot of people who do per se have arguments, very often it is you're both trying to articulate the same thing, but from a different language, right? Or you're frustrated, there's something else happening, and it gathers on top of each other. And I know that for me, music is just a wonderful leveling playing field. It's like, this is the time you stop talking. You go away, listen to some music, go for a jog, or put on something extremely loud, like Queen, and dance and sing to something, and spend the emotion, right?
She calls it, when I do it, nonverbal communication.
Yes.
Nonverbal. Because I'll just start singing a song.
Playing the guitar, and I know it.
I know exactly. Okay, thanks for responding.
Yes. I used to sing opera to my children when they started fighting, and they would do anything to shut me up.
Don't compare me to a child.
No, it's a good method. That's what I'm saying. Music is a good diffuser and equalizer. Yeah, but my opera singing is something the kids definitely wanted to stop, for sure. But Anything to shut mum up. I'll be good. I'll be good.
Yeah.
That's a good punishment.
But when you play
But,
music, you know, from a good vibrational place, there is something again scientifically proven that music and the frequency of music recalibrates the imbalance in our body and in our minds. Right. And if you can recalibrate it, then you're at an even playing field, then you have more clarity of what you're seeing and feeling.
And it's so interesting that growing up, I wasn't even that connected to music. And the first time, and it is really back to that whole thing of like how much I come from have come from a place that is extremely like methodical. And, you know, as you said sun signs, so you do believe in sun signs. It looks like I'm a Capricorn. So you can imagine, I'm like, I am a Capricorn, like the definition of a Capricorn. And he's an Aquarius, the definition of an Aquarius. Like,
do you know what your Chinese signs are?
I am I'm the tiger. I'm the year of, like,
it's your year this year. And tigers are quite forceful. Quite forceful as well, quite you know. Yes, and very gregarious. What sign are you, love?
I believe I'm a monkey.
Ah, so mischief. Playful and mischief.
But don't quote me on it. My grandparents went to China when I was young and brought me back whatever it was. I don't look into it that much.
I can tell you right now what you are. You just give me your years because.
Oh yeah, here it is. It's February 11, 1987.
And you see, that is where it may come up that you have to look up your actual year you were born, because the Chinese New Year starts somewhere at the end of January and goes all the way up to the third week of February, depending what the lunar year is. So if you actually just go online and put in the Chinese New Year and put in your year.
Are you putting me in right now? Or?
Well, I can give you kind of the generic one here right now.
I'm going to do a Chinese.
But it's also your year. Hang on, I'm going to give you, because I do, my children are half Chinese, and I do Chinese New Year signs every year and what they mean and what the tiger is.
Fire.
Well, no, the fire would be
I'm a rabbit.
A rabbit. Okay. All right.
Not a monkey. Again, my sister's a monkey. They brought us both. I thought she was the rabbit.
Right. Okay, no. And rabbits don't like confrontation. And
I don't at all.
No. And tigers can be confrontational.
And I'm a tiger. Can you believe it?
You got to be careful that you don't gobble him up sometimes, right?
That's why I go to my guitar. I'm like,
Exactly. And tigers, can be, quite forceful sometimes in their opinion, right? So yes, just to remember that, you to pull back and you to kind of maybe stand up a little bit more, but yes, rabbits don't like confrontation at all.
It's so funny,
Sorry, I love you.
And you're a water sign as well. And the Aquarian is more a peaceful sign too. So confrontation and just peace, just give peace a chance, man. That's always the area that you're going to go in. And you've got the engineering mind. You have the Capricorn too, which is really a go-getter, and you're a tiger, which is a go-getter.
It's
so
like
you see things I want, it now, and he goes, no, I'm not feeling it.
I'm not feeling it, exactly how it plays out. And I think for us to take the distance between the two of us is so large if you just look at it on paper like that, right? Like everything you just said, just from the science, which is all true, but then also professions, which is actually in some ways a reflection of the science, and then the cultural backgrounds. I grew up in India, in a town in India. He grew up.
She grew up in a big city.
I grew up in a
small city, but a lot of people.
Yeah. But it's a city. Like I grew up in a city, but in India. He grew up in the US, but then he grew up in the mountains.
Yeah.
And so like when you take all on paper, people are like, there's no way they're gonna make it.
Yeah, but you see, I'm also into the numerology, and I'm also a true colors coach. And the two colors coach is your identification of your personality type. So that is how you interact and how you others perceive you, right? So I do the correlation between all of it. So on the earthly side of it, there is always the traits that make us up as to who we are. And then they're governed very much also by the astrology, Chineseology, numerology sign of it as well. But then there is the frequency and the vibration. He can complement you by calming your waters, right? Because he is water sign, he likes peace. Everything for him is about the tranquility.
I'm actually an air sign.
Are you? An Aquarian?
Yeah, the Aquarians are water bears, but
right, but yeah,
sign.
it might depend also the time you were born too, of what your elements are as well, right? But I'm an air sign. But water is extremely important to me. But I, do not try and contain me. I'll become a hurricane in the box. I have to be free flowing completely. But that
me
is,
too. That's how I am.
But that's where my creativity comes from. That's where I find my peace, and that's where I also find my purpose. Right. So that kind of atmosphere can calm her down, but at the same time, her vision of structure. And as you said, keeping the compass going and having those boundaries, let's not go too off kilter, let's channel this energy, right? You can bring to him. So this is where it can be complementary to each other. A lot of people may look at it as conflicting. No, if you look at the benefits of each sign, of each personality, of each background, you can look at how it can merge together and complement each other. Because on your own, as an air sign, you've got to wait for other people to catch the whiff of your air as you go by, right? As the structure, people have got to come to your structure, build that structure and that air, that it has fluidity and it's going somewhere. It's now channeling in the right direction.
And that is exactly what we're doing with this project. And the reason why I went down this path was because you said music. And if it hadn't been for music, we would not have realized how much we are on the same vibration, because as you said, on paper it looks like this is just riddled with all sorts of landmines and conflict here, but we really don't. Like, we actually, I've never been disconnected with anybody, people that are more on paper aligned, but we are more aligned than I've ever experienced. And the music helped us and me see that, because I was like, okay, all this other stuff, as you said, it's earthly stuff, but the feeling and the music, this is real. If we are on the same page and able to do this like this, then we are definitely on the same vibration, no matter what the packaging.
Well, the intent and the purpose is the same, and that's what unites you. But you also, have, your old soul song that you most certainly have been together in past lives, right? And probably even maybe not able to stay together or through circumstances, right? So it's you are building an umbrella here for other artists. You need her structure, but you're the invitation to the musician. So that's where it becomes the complementary, right?
That is literally how I say it. I'm like, honey, records, this is the structure, but you.
If it's just you, Banjii, it's just a
like,
jam.
Do that music thing.
It just becomes a jam session if it's just you. But with her, it now becomes an umbrella. We've created a community. You've created a home, right? So this is the thing, is that people sometimes go, oh no, they're not complementary, or they're so very different, but they work because the two opposites, when they merge together, become a strength, right? And that's what you guys have done.
An ancient lover and our song, it's all the stuff that you just said. It's like the song is about us having met each other in past lives. Are you feeling like a song?
Well, I feel like it's about to be. Are we supposed to play a song?
We're going to close out with one of your songs for sure. You can either sing it for us, or you can add it on to the show. It's up to you. But if you want to sing it, that's perfectly right. Yeah, it's up to you.
I wasn't trying to interrupt. Mayuri, you were saying something.
Oh, well, that's all I was saying, is that you picked up on everything that we've said. Like we both believe we've known each other in past lives. We have and it's a purpose that's ongoing.
Yes.
So it's a purpose that didn't start in this life. It probably started in the past, and we're just like working through getting there. But also what you said, I had the same experience 4.5, like around the same time, 2015, 2016, of what you said, the spiritual awakening. Yes. And this is that time for all, you know, the star-crossed lovers to meet, and for everyone to manifest all these things that have been sitting in our consciousness for lifetimes. Like, this is the time. Like, it's what you said, and I believe in that. He feels that and experiences that 100% himself, and I think that's like bringing it all together. I mean, perhaps we have interacted in a past life as well, because that's, you know, because it's all the same. It's people with a united purpose, that just like a soul family, soul community that just keeps evolving
exactly together. And you know, the other benefit, you know, that you have is that the synergy comes into the music, into the message. But, you know, again, without the structure, you know, how many musicians do you know that are extremely talented, but because they don't have a community, or they don't have a structure, they're not being heard. And, you know, so very often, I mean, I married a tiger. No, it didn't work for me, but I'm the year of the horse, and you know, we kind of trampled each other. So yeah, no, definitely, you know, two alphas at each other. So it didn't kind of work, but for many other reasons as well. He gave me 3 beautiful children, though, and I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, but we're at that time of awakening, that when people look at the two of you and see the differences, and they go, well, if they can make it work, if they can come together, because in the past, anybody who's chosen to be on the spiritual realm, you could paint them all with one brush, right? You know, you could identify them, they're kind of late. It used to be called the granola people, right? Because everybody went down that road, and you could see the spiritual person, but we're all spiritual beings. And we want people who don't fit, quote, the profile, to understand they're spiritual beings that need to ignite and step up and become. And I've done a lot of beautiful business shows, especially around the environment. And we have to change the climate around our environmental culture before we can even address climate change. And there's so many beautiful business people out there that are doing it now, showing businesses how to put people and planet before profit, and see people as the true commodity, as the true e-commerce, as the true enrichment and the abundance. And the more you feed them, the more you're going to feed everything else. So doing it through your music, becoming a platform that shows other people that they have a home, because we all want a home, we all want to belong somewhere, we all want to be part of a community. Having a safe place to go where people get them, not get them, can embrace them, but also can support them on their own growth, is what we're all looking for. We're all looking for those pockets of cells, right? So the differences of you is what complements you, and that will also be the invitation because of it.
It's beautiful. It's exactly how we feel about everything. That's what we want to do with Kahani Records. That's what, you know, we want to bring to the table. It's all the things you said, and that's why we want to make it work, because we are like, look, who are we to preach if we are talking about things that are not something we've actually experienced ourselves? And this was
actually we're not preaching.
No, you're inviting.
Inviting and igniting. I like what you say.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. Well, this was amazing, Sarah.
Oh, my pleasure. I mean, as I said, it's guilty pleasure. I love interviewing musicians. You're already connected. You know, your heart and souls are already connected. It's just a question of what is your message and who is it for, you know, and that's where the direction is. Music has meant a great deal in my life. It's been my salvation, but it's also been my illumination. And it's most certainly everything I do in life is in a rhythm. As an air sign, right? We've got to go with the flow, let the air take us where it needs to go. And music is something that has transcended language, transcended culture, and it just hits people where they hear it or they feel it and they sense it. It just speaks to them, and it becomes that invitation that invites them to just embrace it. So keep up with your music, please. And, you know, when you have got that umbrella going and you've got people to go under it. I invite you to come and look at my group here that I have on selfdiscoverymedia.com under my For the Love of Music, because I've got some musicians here that would be so good to go under your umbrella. They're true to they're true to their message. They're beautiful souls. They, I one this week whose new album is Flowers, a young gay guy talking about self-love and not buying into the pace. And he loves his new album because it's all about coming into the empowerment of self-love. And in that self-love, loving life and loving purpose and loving message, which is what we want, right? That's what we want. Yes. So there's a lot of people that could benefit from that loving umbrella.
Oh, we love that. That's another reason for us to have connected. And that is really what eventually, because Banjii has been a musician for 20 years. So, and we talk about this many times, like he's released 4 albums. So we're not even trying to establish ourselves as musicians. He's already a musician and I'm not a career musician. So what we're trying to establish ourselves is that umbrella.
Yes.
That's the end goal.
Yes.
And so it's
empowerment of people.
Empowerment.
Yes, of souls, of hearts, of spirits. Yes.
Yes. The whole bit.
Yes. Yes.
Amazing.
Oh, and by the way, I have to plug our children. Edwin just got 2 international film festival awards for his role in our last release. The Barcelona wonderful. International Film Festival in New York City.
The New York International Film Awards.
And then our Willow, our older son, is created this whole amazing thing called Stunt Egg, and I told him I would plug it. You guys can find it.
What is it?
She can tell you more about it. Yeah.
Well, actually, it's a show. It's a show. It's an animated show. He's already finished the first season and released it on a platform called Scratch, and so that's 13 episodes. And the whole point of bringing that up is that's the whole goal.
We're empowering.
We're empowering. Yeah. So like the kid, Edwin is 12 years old and he already has this confidence now because he has the encouragement. And same with Willow, we're taking this show that he just actually made as a hobby, and now we're like doing more with it and putting it out there under our umbrella. So I think that's that's the point of like we want to do that with everybody that comes under our umbrella. Like give them those opportunities, give them the voice and the spotlight and the structure. So that they can.
The structure is important, and to an artist that could be like hives. But no, when the structure,
I know, it pisses me off.
Yeah, I know, but it is necessary. It is necessary to channel that beautiful music. So as much as you want,
are you gonna give me some like homework?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Don't look at it. Don't look at it. Just look at it as a forest. Each tree actually has fiber optics that speak with one another. All right, each tree is different, and each tree is looked upon as part of the collective. But those fiber optics are holding it all together so that forest can be strong. So, you need to be the fiber optics for each other in order to make sure the soil is fruitful and that they protect each other from the gales. Structure is necessary. It's the building that you want to play in, right? So, we can't always play to the wind. So I know it's not my favorite thing.
It's weighted on her side.
No, it's because I know you, Banjii. I am you. I am you. I'm one of those people. I flap in the wind, and I've had to learn structure in order to build this community. So I know how you feel. That's how I do my shows. It's how I do my writing. It's how my book is going to be. It's with the wind. That's the creativity, but you need a safe environment that is rooted and strong in order for that to be channeled out, right? So that's all it is. So no, don't buck it. I promise you, it will be beneficial.
Don't tell me what to do.
Go to your room. Yeah, I understand why you got your hands full there, because yes, I'm like that too.
He's talking to her and me.
Who am I talking to?
You know who I'm talking to.
I know it's that when you feel something and you feel it so compelling, the last thing you want is somebody to tell you how to do it. But you know,
yeah.
but
He's like, I was gonna do it, but now I'm not.
yeah.
but I do think that, like, we joke about it, but
Yes.
but the truth though is that
I actually listen to her.
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
time.
he does. Like, this is like, it's all fun and games, but the reality of the situation though is because I don't think he was like that with others, and he says you're the only person, and all his friends are. But I do think that our connection is that strong because of the ancient love and the purpose, and we love each other so much that we're willing to, on both sides, like, go beyond that. So like he and I, both of us, truly go ways out of our comfort zone to make this happen, and it is grounded in like this ancient love of ours.
We have to do it.
Be the willow tree, strong-rooted, with a strong trunk, of which she is. That allows your branches to flow in any wind.
That's my son's name, Willow.
Right, and that's the tree, my favorite tree, and the one I will be buried under. So,
that's amazing.
Right? Because the willow tree very rarely ever tops over, and it dances with the wind, whether it's the breeze or whether it's a gale, and that is your creativity, is that wind through the rustling of the trees. But you are the trunk and the roots, which allows those trees to express itself without toppling over.
I love, that's beautiful. Be the willow tree, and that's a perfect, like, that's it. That's our new branding, because that's exactly how we view ourselves, as like the willow tree, and our son is his name is Willow, and he himself has all those characteristics. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, and it becomes the example of how foundation. Maybe let's change the word from structure to foundation. When you want to build something, you don't build it from the top up, you build it from the bottom, and you make sure the roots are strong, the foundation is strong, the core is strong, so that it can branch out into as many levels as it's meant to, because everything else is strong. You're that strength, and you are that branching, which will allow you to branch out even more.
I know, the next level. I say that all the time. Like, I view him as the next level. Like, he's the next level. Like, there's this ground level and the basement and the foundation. And we use the word next level. And, even before we did anything about this project or even got together, we would talk about the next level and how he was having dreams of, like, when we had just started and we had just met, and he's like, ever since I've met you, I have these dreams of, like, I keep going up these stairs, and there's like a next level there, but I'm not all the way there. And it's that idea. Like, I really do think that he is like that, like, the expression and the next level. And so this is amazing. Maybe we should sing Ancient Lovers, since we've talked so much about.
Well, do you want to play an MP3?
It's up to you whether you want to play it for us live or whether we close out the show with it recorded.
Let's let him hear the recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's one or the other, because.
No, I mean, it's I've listened to it. It's beautiful. It's very invitational. And that is the thing that music is. It is invitation. When it connects, it invites. It invites you in. It invites you to reflect. It invites you to see the possibilities. It invites you to rise up. Andrea Day's song, Rise Up, a beautiful song about rising up. By the way, if you haven't seen her as Billie Holiday, do watch it. She's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Andrea Day.
Andrea Day.
Yeah, she's a beautiful performer, and she's did the true story of Billie Holiday. And just an amazing performance. And she sang all the songs as well of Billie Holiday. And, there is an artist that, again, very true to her art, but was willing to expand because she felt safe enough to go there, right? So what you are doing in that umbrella is giving a safe place for people to go and explore where else they can go. And that's the beauty of it. When the foundation is strong, people can reach out because they know they can stay in balance, right?
It's beautiful. I love it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us, Sara.
Oh, it's been my absolute pleasure. we're going to close out with your song, and I invite people to come back and look at your site and see your other music. So where do they go?
Our record label is called Kahani Records, and that's www.kahani and records records.com,
and that's where you can find everything.
And you'll find everything on there. The email is info@kahanirecords.com, and if you want to follow us on social media, then it's Banjii and Mayuri on Instagram and Banjii and Mayuri on Facebook as well. So any of these,
and YouTube, but everyone should just go to Kahani Records, and there's an invitation for everyone to get in touch with us and see if we can help them tell their story.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, if you are a musician right now is looking for a home, although you're not 100% ready to open right now, people can still apply, and you can start looking at where the synergy is. Right.
We're taking applicants.
Exactly. Exactly. And we all want to belong somewhere. We all want to belong in that, in that orchard, or in that orchestra where we feel we are appreciated with our music. Our music is part of the contribution, that we're heard. But again, when we're in flow and in synergy with each other, the transcendence of that music is just absolutely wonderful. So yes, I love to hear back from you in the future. When you have got more people under the umbrella, or you've got another album coming out. And in the meantime, you've already done the 4 chakras. You're still busy doing the other 3? Or how far?
We've done 3.
And we're halfway through our 4th project, which will release right now, end of March. That's the 4th. So we'll be done with all 7 by September.
Excellent. Right. And kind of doing it slowly. It's like allowing people to savor and connect, and then have the anticipation to come back for more, and then discover more, and making it a beautiful journey that they connect to, and then have a look at themselves of how it's ignited within them. What was the invitation that sparked something inside of them, instead of like, there's the album, on to the next. Becomes a lovely stretching out. Yeah, the process. You're taking people through that process. So it's beautiful. Thank you so much here for sharing. It's been so much fun. I've really, really enjoyed it.
It's been great, Sarah. Thank you so much.
Thank
you. And please send your musician friends, and I guess we'll get links and all that good stuff.
Yes, most certainly. And so folks, remember that music is the soul igniter. It is the heart connector. It's the spirit's flight. And it is something that would allow your mind to know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. So please listen to their beautiful music and connect, because that's the invitation. We all want to connect with one another. So until next time, we leave you with their song. Bye for now.
My dreams, we move closer, like the moth to the flame. My ancient lover, today we finally meet. Hello, stranger. My ancient lover. And she look up to the sky, she sings straight into the soul. She say, oh, what's an artist without his suffering? A healer without my pain, a love without separation, the river without the rain. What's the answer without the question? Goodbye without the fight. This gaze is forever, even when I close my eyes. My ancient lover, my ancient lover. What's an artist without his suffering? A healer without my pain. Love without separation. The river without the rain. What's the answer without the question? Goodbye without the fight.
And this is forever. Even when I close my eyes, my ancient lover, my ancient love, my ancient love.
We hope that you enjoyed the show right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. Please tune in to our selfdiscoverymedia.com/shows and you will see all the other genres that we have from you. Every week on Tuesday, we bring you new shows from illuminating people. If you know someone that should be interviewed, please contact us at info@selfdiscoverymedia.com. Now stay tuned for your next show.